Welcome to another edition of Stress Less and Live More, powered by Zembrin. And that is really the common thread running through each and every one of our conversations here. How are you making sure you stress less and live more? It is something that each and every one of us care about. And I'm so glad these conversations, powered by Zembrin, are able to help us understand that and also answer that. It's certainly not a one-size-fits-all approach, but through these conversations, we hope that you're able to take lessons here and there about how you can improve your life and you can make certain choices that benefit your lifestyle, and that can all be assisted courtesy of Zembrin. So we've already covered what Zembrin is. We've covered the likes of cognitive clarity and how you can sharpen your mind. And in this episode, we'll be looking at exactly how we break down stress, what it is, and how we can better live more. And I'm glad once again to be joined by the managing director of HG&H Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Ralph Tettey-Amlalo. Dr. Ralph, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you, Sia. And it's good to see you once again.
Absolutely. And I know when you say you're fine, you really mean it.
I'm calm and focused.
You are my guru of stressing less and living more. So we've covered quite a lot in these conversations so far, and I'm very excited to be continuing these conversations, making notes, because I'm learning really a cornerstone on how to live more and live better as I stress less. Let's talk about stress. It is a phrase or term that I think a lot of us use, unfortunately, quite often in our lives. Let's just begin by dissecting. What is stress per your professional definition?
All right. Good question, Sia. So usually the term stress comes, and just not trying to go too scientific, but it's usually a cascade of events that happens in the body when the body goes through a series of triggers. Ideally, when those triggers are not managed appropriately, the body then releases all kinds of neurotransmitters, hormones, reactions going on in the body, and there's a sense of overwhelming experience that the individual feels, and the individual just says, oh gosh, I can't cope with this. And that, at that point in time, that individual may claim to be stressed. So that's what it is. So it's important to note that usually there are triggers, and identifying those triggers very early on is important. I often think, and this is my personal view, is that I think the term stress is often used loosely. The everyday colloquial definition of stress is not typically your medical definition of stress.
Okay.
People tend to be anxious, because of certain events that happens in their lives, and those events could vary from everyday work situations or an unfortunate experience that could happen in the person's life, like the loss of a dear one, or even the birth of a new child.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, or the purchase of a new car. There's a lot of stuff, or a medical indication that could trigger some sort of anxiety in the individual. But if these triggers are not controlled, and that's what leads to stress, which is, it's just cascaded and it has just gotten too much, and they just lose it.
Even just attending a social event for some people, you start to clutch at your neck, not being able to breathe. So let's talk about the impact of stress. What would you have to say is the impact of stress on your mental health, and why is it essential to actually manage stress effectively?
Okay. Very good question. So let me, with your permission, take it on the mental health perspective, but also on the physiology as well. So mental health is important because if stress abounds, the individual is not in the position to focus, keep calm, and get on with his or her daily activities, right? You're just not in a position to do anything with clarity, right? And it affects everything you do, because neurons are overfiring. You're either overactive or underactive, depending on the individual. And your body is also responding. That's the second part of what I wanted to touch to. Because of the impact of all these imbalances happening in the body, it also expresses itself. So how? In some individuals, the individuals could gain weight. In some individuals, they could lose weight very rapidly. If you look at in women, females in particular, their experiences of certain stress cycles like premenstrual stress or postmenopausal stress. These are these are things that happen very cyclically in some ladies as well. That could also impact them. And if you look at men, one big aspect of it is libido. And also even with women as well. But there could even be an impact of sexual enhancement or sexual desire simply because that individual is stressed. And some of the other things that could also happen is that even in women, they could start seeing things like their hair could start breaking or their hair could start falling off as they comb their hair. And these are all little signs that the individual could be stressed. I mean, obviously, there could be other reasons as well, which also could be investigated.
Is it fair to say if there is some drastic change within what is your normal, because of some environmental changes or some sort of contextual change, that could be some form of stress? So if you know that you are someone who often sleeps very well and now you have restless sleep pattern, could that be a sign in your life that you are stressed?
Very good question. So if let's assume, and I know life is it's not clear cut like that, but let's assume a baseline that there was no previous issue, and that event happened. My immediate position would be that individual is anxious. That individual has a period of anxiety, and that anxiety could be, as we talked earlier, could stem from maybe a change of environment. Not controlling that trigger, it's what substantially, if it allows to fluster for a while, becomes stress.
Okay.
And then the definition of stress would be that the whole body, starts behaving uncontrollably because we haven't controlled the trigger. So it's important to know that we have triggers that make us anxious, and we have to find ways to keep calm and control those triggers so as not to, get the body to move into a tailspin, and where everything is uncontrolled.
So then I wonder, this intersection between stress and anxiety, where do they intersect, or how can we identify that it intersects, and how can you see that your anxiety is now impacting or becoming stress, or vice versa?
So in my opinion, usually anxiety leads to stress, or many instances of anxiety leads to stress. When anxiety is easy to manage if identified early, and managing it through other ways, but one of it is Zembrin. Right. Once you do that, you reduce your propensity to become stressed. Right. So we like to sort of let's pinpoint it earlier. Once you're feeling a little bit anxious, deal with the problem there and then. Don't leave it and don't let it fluster uncontrollably to lead into stress, because stress has other medical implications. Because you are now, so if it was initially just a mental thing, you're now possibly going to affect your entire body at the time it gets to stress, because you have all these other triggers, and the body needs to respond. So what the body does is that the body tries to autocorrect, right? But unfortunately, depending on the magnitude of the trigger, the body may be able to autocorrect, or it just goes onto the tailspin.
So Dr. Ralph, you are the man for the job in so many ways, because I'm hearing all of this, and I'm also love that we get to practically discuss these very, very wide product ranges that have Zembrin incorporated into it. You've brought some of these products into our conversation today, and I love the fact that these can be used in various aspects of your life. Whether you are starting off your day and you want some sort of a hot drink that has Zembrin infused in it, or maybe you're ending off your day and I don't know, you just might need a bit of
a boost,
a libido boost. So Zembrin can be at the beginning and at the ending of your day. Can you talk us through some of these products here? For example, I have the Zembrin capsule here that relieves stress. Can you talk to us a little about this?
So that's actually one of our flagship brands, and you will notice the spelling of the Zembrin there is with an E. So that is a product that comes from Malaysia by Life Factor. And they were one of our early flagship products that propagated and used Zembrin for the management of stress. So markets have different regulations as to what you could say about ingredients. So in that market in particular, all they could say is just relieve stress. Yeah. So and that's based on the regulation in that market.
Okay, fantastic. There's also something called Happy Mood here.
Yeah.
It supports one's happiness, some stress relief, and also positive feelings.
Yeah.
Talk to us about this. What are these?
Yeah, so these are, it's a new formulation. So that's one of the things we'll go through once we go through the products, that Zembrin is applicable in a wide range of products ranges. The unique one here is by a company called Force Factor in Boston, Massachusetts in the USA. It's just unique because it was formulated as a soft chew, what they call a soft chew. So there's now a trend of to attract and increase, consumer appeal. Zembrin is now being formulated away from just the traditional capsules and tablets, into gummies, into beverages, into soft chews, and that's a classic example of a soft chew product.
Right. So, how does Zembrin support stress resilience and mood enhancement? And essentially, I'm asking, how does Zembrin set itself apart in all of these various product offerings?
So in supporting resilience, I think the important thing there is to be able to overcome that anxiety trigger point. And the only not the only way, but one of the main ways of doing that is always remaining calm. That's how you beat that trigger. And that's what Zembrin does. I mean, in one of the earlier episodes, we talked about how Zembrin works in the brain. And it's the ability for it to inhibit the serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which generally...
that's my favorite term that I can never pronounce.
The serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which generally produces a calming effect in your body. But over and above that, once you calm, the ability to be focused and execute. And that's also where the resilience comes in. How Zembrin sort of separates itself from its competitors is that, one, Zembrin it's quick acting, and always remember that for most individuals, they could feel the benefit of it from 0 to 2 hours. Some actually feel it within 15 to 30 minutes.
Fantastic.
So it's quick acting, and you can get on with your business as you want to.
Yeah. Dr. Rolf, please talk to us about some of these products, more of these products. Which products can one look out for to really feel the benefits of Zembrin?
Good. Just to also highlight, so we have a product here by Solaray. That's a company called Nutraceutical Comp. Or Better Bean in the USA as well. The interesting thing about this product that in addition to Zembrin, they actually combine it with a mushroom. Reishi mushroom. So I think I touched about, we were also looking at new ingredient entries coming into the market. The interesting thing about reishi mushroom is that it helps promote sleep. The thing with Zembrin, we typically advise that Zembrin is taken in the morning because of the focus effect. Because although it keeps you calm, it keeps you focused. Now, to keep someone focused, what actually happens in the body is that there's a blood rush activity into the amygdala portion of your brain that activates your attention. It's a very high energy, intense burning process. So what normally happens is that by the time you go to bed at night, you're exhausted. Right? So Zembrin doesn't promote, it's not a sleep inducer, but it ensures a better quality of sleep when you go to bed at night. And that's also why they also mix it with the reishi mushrooms, where reishi mushrooms also promote good sleeping patterns as well.
I'm seeing a drink there.
Yes.
When do you drink that drink? What is it for?
So this is actually a very interesting concept. So there is a new trend in the beverage industry to support non-alcoholic drinkers who want to feel the effects as if you're drinking alcohol.
But you don't want the hangover. You don't want to feel lethargic the next day.
So it's a very interesting concept. So this client here actually formulated a beverage, and we've got other beverage compositions as well, as a cooler that can be used with or without alcohol. So those who don't drink alcohol, but still want to feel cool, they can take Zembrin, a Zembrin beverage, which allows them to feel calm, focus and they go chatting and feeling free and getting around their business as well.
Yeah.
So that's also a very unique concept as well.
I'm starting to really understand that Zembrin fits into your life.
Oh yes,
really fits into your life.
There's a phase of life where Zembrin can play a role, right? I mean, obviously, medically and clinically, like I said earlier, we can't do clinical studies in the young and in certain segments like pregnant women. But anecdotally, there's evidence to support that, the Khoisan people had chewed Scilitium totuosum as early as infancy. And it takes them all through to their elderly days in life.
Yes. You mentioned Scilitium totuosum,
Yes.
and that is available in pill form, right?
Yes,
Or in
yes.
supplement form.
In supplement form. And this is also a very important point. I mean, this customer, that's NutriCost, also based in the USA. I like the fact that they chose to label their product Scilitium totuosum, but made with Zembrin. The important point here is that not all Scilitium totuosum is the same. So two people could grow Scilitium totuosum, one in a controlled environment, one in the wild or uncontrolled environment. The chemistry, the outcome can be totally different.
Yeah.
I did touch in one of the earlier episodes that we only propagate the cultivar that, generates calm focus. There is another cultivar that's on the market that gives you a sense of euphoria, which is used in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So it's important for consumers to know that if you're looking out for Scilitium totuosum, they have to make sure that it's made with Zembrin. And typically we do get, as part of our trademark licensing agreement, we do get our customers to include Zembrin on their label as well, to serve as a differentiator. And also, if they so wish, make use of the Sun Council logos, which also authenticates that it's a genuine source from a reputable source as well.
Dr. Ralph, I assume we can get more information on the product ranges on the Zembrin website, right?
We can.
That is www.zembrin.com. I love the fact that when we began these conversations, I did say that, the idea of talking about stress sort of makes me feel stressed. Oh my goodness. I can't wait for more conversations like this. At the end, I'll just be in a happy mood. Always ready and absolutely relaxed and focused. Stressing less and living more, courtesy of Zembrin. So Dr. Ralph, thank you once again for allowing me to pick your very, very sharp and calm brain.
You're welcome, Sia. It's a pleasure is all mine.
Fantastic. In our next episode, I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. We have discussed the innovation of Zembrin already. And so now we're going to be zoning in on it, and especially how Zembrin mixes that innovation with its nature. So want to find out more? Well, keep it locked right here on Stress Less and Live More, powered by Zembrin. Fantastic.